Hello everyone, welcome to Algo-holic, the place where you learn not just the solutions but the thought process behind solving problems. Today we're solving the problem merge strings alternately. We're given two strings word 1 and word 2. We're supposed to merge the strings by adding letters in alternating order. If one of the strings is longer than the other, we just append the additional letters onto the end of the string. It's a pretty straightforward problem. Let's look at an example. We have ABC and PQR, so the final output is going to be A, P, B, Q, C, and R, which is the final output. Let's see a scenario where one of the words is longer than the other. So we have A, P, B, Q, and RS is going to be appended in the end. So this is the final output. So how do you solve this problem? Before trying to merge the two strings, how about we print one string letter by letter onto the screen? So let's say we have a string S, which is P, Q, R, S. How do you print this letter by letter? We initialize the pointer I to 0 and I goes up until the length of the string. In this case, it's 4. And inside the loop, we have a print statement where we print the letter and we increment I. So this, after 4 iterations, is going to be PQRS. Now let's add another string onto the equation, ABC. So how do you print both of them together? Are we supposed to just add another loop? If we add another loop, it's going to print PQRS first and then ABC, because both of the loops would be executing sequentially. So that is not a correct solution. How about we just add another print statement over here? What happens then? Let's see how that would be. So we again have a pointer I to 0. And this time, what does I go up until? Is it going to be 3 or 4? Because the length of T is 3, the length of S is 4. Well, we don't want to handle overflow errors. So let's just say I goes up until the smallest of both the strings, which is S or T. Let's say the smallest of both of them. Inside the iteration, we print S of I, we print T of I, and then we increment I. So what is the final output for this? It's going to be P, A, Q, B, R, and C. Notice how it's not going to print S because the loop terminates. So we are almost close to the solution. What do we do next? Well, we have another loop after this where I is initialized to 3. We don't have to initialize it again because I already has the value 3. And this time I goes up until the length of S. And we do the same thing where we print S of I and we increment I. Now the problem here is we don't know which one is supposed to be the smallest string. So just to handle both the cases, we have another loop over here where I is again 3, I is less than T this time, and we print T of I over here and we increment I. In reality, only one of these loops will be executing because the previous loop would make sure that one of the pointers overflows. So we either execute this or this. Since we have no way to find out which is the smallest string, we just run both the loops so that in the end we get the final output. So the final output is going to be P, A, Q, B, R, and C, which is from the first loop, and either from the second or the third loop we get the S. So this is the final output. Now what is the brute force solution for this? Now what is the time complexity of this? The time Usually I would come up with a brute force solution and then try to optimize it, but I couldn't even think of the brute force solution for this because it's a very straightforward problem. So what is the time complexity of this? The time complexity of this is going to be big O of m plus n, where m is the length of the first string and n is the length of the second string. And since we're not taking any extra space, it's going to be big O of 1 for space. Let's quickly code up the solution. Instead of printing it onto the screen, let's store it in a variable merged. And here is the pointer initialization. Now, while I is less than the length of first string and I is less than the length of second string. In here, we're supposed to have the two print statements. Instead of the two print statements, we have the append statements. Word 1 of I, the same thing again. In the end, we increment I. Here, we're supposed to have the two remaining loops. Instead of that, we can directly append the remainder of the string onto the merged string in Python. So merged plus equals, and we mentioned the substring that needs to be appended. So word 1 This is the starting index, and if you leave it blank, that's understood that it goes up until the end. We do the same thing again for word 2. So that's about it. We return merged. It works and it's a pretty efficient solution. C++ code looks pretty much the same, where we have the merge string, I initialized to 0, the loop to merge it alternately, and appending the remainder of the string. Java code looks slightly different because we use something called a string builder whenever we have to make a string mutable in Java, because strings are immutable by default, and we still have the same loop of merging it alternately, and in the end we append the remainder of the string. So that's all for today. I hope you found this video helpful. Your feedback helps me make better content, so please share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.